everyone, and thank you for joining us today to learn about Workday's latest product update. I'm Laura Schroeder, and I head up Workday Product Marketing in EMEA. I'm going to talk to you today about some of the new features we've delivered in Workday 18. And joining me is my colleague, David Barnicoat. He's one of our top solution consultants, and he's going to show us a live demo of some of our exciting new features. David, do you want to say hello?
Hello, everyone. Looking forward to showing you Workday 18 in a few moments. So look forward to that. Cheers.
Great. Let's get started. With Workday 18, we've had a lot of momentum. Workday now supports more than 350 customers in 225 countries and in 22 languages. And Workday 18 also included over 100 new features, of which 60 were brainstorm ideas. And that means, if you're not familiar with the brainstorm, it means that they originated with our customers. Today we're going to focus on key features across 4 areas. First area is increased flexibility. Workday 18 offers customers the ability to extend our applications to fit specific needs with custom fields. And we've also added flexibility within our business process framework. And we'll talk about that. The next area is driving workforce engagement. Workday 18 features user experience enhancements to all parts of our mobile platform, as well as a redesign for some of our most popular pages in the browser. Next, we'll look at maximizing people performance. With Workday 18, we continue to add to the talent management capabilities built into Workday HCM. And finally, advancing financial management globally. One of Workday's top priorities for 2012 has been to continue to invest in our financial management products to support global organizations. So now we'll take a closer look at each of these areas, starting with increased flexibility. Workday is focused on offering configurable solutions from day one, and we took the first step moving from configurability to extensibility a couple of years ago when we introduced calculated fields, which are customer-defined fields that take their value from a calculation. With Workday 18, customers get the ability to further extend Workday by being able to add custom fields that take their value either from user input or data or another system. So Workday allows customers to define customer fields and custom objects without any coding. And this extends the flexibility you have configuring Workday because now you have the ability to track and use data that's unique to your organization's requirements. Custom fields in Workday 18 have been enabled for applicants, positions, workers, job profiles, and bank accounts. And these appear in the Related Actions tab or as an additional tab when you're viewing objects with a profile view. You can create up to 20 custom fields for each of these objects. And additionally, these custom fields, can be used in reports, in calculated fields, as well as condition rules. So this slide that we're looking at now shows you the page that you use to define a custom field. It's very simple. We use task orchestration to guide you through the following steps. So first you pick a Workday object, like a worker, to add a custom field to. Then you can associate one or more custom fields with that custom object. And then next you associate the custom object with an existing security domain. And then you're done. Once they've been added, these custom fields are available to be viewed either, as we said, from the related task or from the profile of that associated object. This slide shows you how you can see custom objects that have been added to a worker. So we've added a badge to Logan McNeil, and that is a purely custom object. As with calculated fields, these custom fields can now be used in reporting and workflow conditions. And the value of our approach to custom fields is that once they've been added, they're update safe. That means they're going to continue to work in every new Workday version. We've also added flexibility into the business process framework in Workday 18. In-flight process changes to workflows accommodate changes to business processes that are currently in progress. With this new functionality, you're able to add an additional approval step ad hoc to the process without having to restart the business process or cancel it and restart it. These ad hoc approval steps affect only the current business process instance, and they're also fully traceable. So in the middle of the process, someone can ask for an additional approval. You have full auditability of that change, and the approvers that can be added have been set up as approvers that can be added. So if you enable this feature, you'll see an Add Approvers button, which you see right here on my screen, on the approval step. And pushing this button shows you a list of people who have been set up as valid additional approvers for this process. Our next area of focus in Workday 18 was driving workforce engagement. And in Workday 18, we continue our focus and we continue to deliver the most innovative mobile experience to drive engagement. So, for example, managers get advanced team management capabilities. They can see key team information and composition and even a team calendar all from their tablet. And building upon Workday's innovative time tracking functionality that we introduced in Workday 17, workers are now able to check in and check out from any mobile device or web browser. With Workday's new professional profile, employees can manage their professional background and information and optionally even import it from LinkedIn, which makes it easier for them to find and collaborate with the right people. And managers are able to make smarter, fact-based decisions about resourcing teams. Let's take a closer look. Mobile is transforming the way employees engage with business systems. Forrester has forecasted that by 2016, more than 350 million employees will use smartphones. And organizations are adapting by providing the most engaging and comprehensive mobile experience that they can to their employees. Workday's mobile offering has three facets, which are shown here. First, we support a native application for the iPhone. Then we also support a native application for the iPad, and for other devices, we support an HTML5 mobile client. So this will work with non-iOS smartphones as long as they have browsers that are compatible with HTML5. Our practice has been to deliver increased functionality on each of these three platforms in every update, and Workday 18 is no exception. At the beginning of 2012, if you've been attending these product updates every quarter, Workday deemed this year to be the year of the manager. The team profile is an example of a mobile-first design, working closely with our customers and closely with managers as well. We've had an opportunity to create a very holistic navigational experience for the manager on the iPad. In our observations and interviews of managers, we found that in fact most of what they do is team-oriented, whether it's preparing for an upcoming promotion or a compensation cycle or even responding to a crisis situation. Managers are seeking out a view of their team with the ability to toggle from one view to another, to access their direct and indirect reports, and take action on individuals. And now with the iPad experience, managers have access to information that matters to them. They have it on the spot, on the go, and in real time with configurable reports and analytics that include key statistics as well as N-box visuals. So, for example, managers can now view information for their entire team on the iPad. They can effectively plan and have access to a team calendar, again, right from the iPad. And the team profile includes information about their teams, a team calendar, compensation information, talent and performance summaries, as well as key metrics. Workday introduced time tracking in Workday 17, which was July, and now in Workday 18, we've introduced the ability to check in and out of work on mobile devices, which is very convenient. In addition to handling traditional time tracking activities like meals and breaks and shifts, employees can now view their activity history and check into projects and tasks. They can even check into nearby locations using location-based services. Our mobile analytics were optimized for the tablet, and based on customer demand, we now have optimized analytics for the iPhone as well. For example, bar charts have been turned on their side, so you can see the text and the numbers very clearly. And it's also very touch sensitive. It's easy to touch, to filter, and drill down, which enables a dashboard experience on the iPhone. Moving right along, Workday 18 is really all about user experience and engagement. So, for example, we've redesigned our personal profile experience with the help of customers who are interested in creating a system of engagement. This redesigned profile that you're looking at includes a view that's intended for peer-to-peer access. So you have visibility into public information about your peers and colleagues, like skills and education and work experience. And to help populate this data, as well as support internal mobility, we're enabling an opt-in LinkedIn import. It's really simple and entirely in the user's control. So employees have the option of importing information from LinkedIn with Workday 18. Workday continues to empower managers with functionality that enables them to more effectively and efficiently manage their teams and drive performance anytime, anywhere. Workday 18 is enabling managers to conduct and maintain consistent and fair assessments through performance and talent calibration. So let's look at that. Workday's performance and talent calibration enables managers to compare and adjust performance and talent assessments of their team. So specifically in Workday 18, we've added a drag-and-drop calibration to support interactive manager meetings where they discuss performance ratings or future talent planning. And we've embedded this program functionality into our configurable N-box reporting framework, which already included configurable facets and axes and box labels. And now in Workday 18, it also includes a configurable and editable list view, as well as zoom capability and target to actuals analysis. This high level of configurability ensures that customers can tailor their talent discussions to their specific business considerations and, most importantly, respond to changing business conditions with every talent cycle. Worker trending represents a really great and significant leap in our analytic capabilities. In our current framework, so that means our pre-Workday 18 framework, customers often tell us that they feel like heroes to their communities because they can easily configure and deploy reports and analytics to mobile devices with embedded business intelligence and dashboards so that managers and executives have access to rich decision support tools. And now we've taken that even further. With worker trending, we've gone beyond transactional business intelligence. We've embedded and enabled a time series analysis on large amounts of worker data, something that's typically done in a third-party tool with very little connection to underlying data. That means that with Workday, customers can use out-of-the-box trending analytics such as headcount, span of control, and attrition over time, as well as create their own analytics that are all drillable and actionable, and as part of the Workday application with no additional fees. I want to mention here, however, that this feature is in limited release, and that means that only a select set of design partners will have access to this capability in Workday 18. However, we will be widening out our availability in future updates. So this will be generally available soon. Now let's talk about advancing financial management globally. Workday 18 is a very significant update for Workday Financials with global enhancements across the product line. Workday has a very deep global platform and architecture for general business, but to be a serious financial solution for a multinational enterprise, you have to have a financial-specific layer of global functionality, and this has to include 5 key functionalities: multi-entity support, multi-currency support, multi-book support, support for the various transaction tax schemes that are used around the world, as well as banking and settlement. So Workday already supported those first 3 requirements: multi-entity, multi-currency, and multi-book. And now with Workday 18, we've included the last 2 of these 5 key functionalities: transaction tax support and support for international settlement requirements. And with the inclusion of these 2 features, Workday 18 Financials are ready to support multinationals located in English-speaking countries of the world. Workday 18 also includes a number of enhancements that are targeted at streamlining financials reporting, such as the ability to group reports so that multiple different reports can be run together, the ability to save and reuse report definitions, the ability to schedule reports so you can have them run at a requested time, and report bursting, which is a technical term for running a report for multiple companies with a single instruction. In keeping with our efforts to push financials beyond basic financial accounting and to support business decision-making, in Workday 18, we added the capability to model multiple scenarios for projects. With each scenario, you can model the types and the costs of talent and other costs, as well as the time frame and expected revenues involved with various approaches, so that you can select the best option to achieve a successful project conclusion. And with that introduction to Workday 18, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague David for a live demo. David, over to you.
Thank you very much, Laura. So I'm just being made a presenter now, so you bear with me just for a moment or two. I'm talking, yes. And let me just share my desktop. So thank you for that. Sorry, just Bear with me a second while we come and look at the iPad in just a moment or two. But first, what I want to do is perhaps take you through some of the things that we've done within the browser. So Laura's talked about the key themes in terms of increasing flexibility, in terms of continuing their drive towards the workforce engagement, and then maximising people's performance. So we'll look at those, and also we'll finish off with a little bit of a view around the project scenario planning, and to give you some view about what's coming there and what we've already created here in Workday 18. So I suppose if we get on to that first theme, talking about increased flexibility. Essentially what we have the ability now is to create not just custom fields, but also custom objects. So I'm just going to use the quick search function. And we've now got a few options here in terms of things like creating a custom object, and I'm actually going to go to a particular report and just look at some of the ones I've already set up here. So the idea is you can create a custom object, and then you can create the appropriate fields that go with that. We can have those in draft, i.e. those that are going through a process of being created, so we can save and return, as well as active ones. So if I just quickly go to draft, what I sort of created earlier with a bit of a Blue Peter fashion, started to go through a process of creating the particular custom object, and then the fields that go with that, whether those are text fields, whether those are date fields, Boolean. So we've got a whole load of different field options. We can say if fields are required, we can order fields. We also say where the data sits. So if I just go back and change this, I'll do it to one that we've already got live. Go to uniform. And we can see that I can come in and edit if I wish to, but there's the ability to come in and update and add information even to those fields once they're live. And so the key thing is that we can also use these fields within all reporting, and they can use for things like calculated fields, so we can do calculations off these, and also what we can do is use these for conditional rules, i.e. if statements within workflows, business processes. So just to illustrate this, if I just go to the user here and go to their records, we now have the ability to have this additional data stored. So we can view it, we can edit it. So if I want to come and make an update here to, say, the uniform details, very simple to come in here. And if I need to now add some more detail around uniform, perhaps I want to add the t-shirt size or something like that, I can go to a pick list of custom fields and make my updates there. So an area where we've introduced further flexibility, and we'll continue to build out the capability around this ad hoc fields as updates go. So we've got the ability to create custom objects and then fields off those. Another perhaps important area around flexibility is that hopefully you've seen, if you've seen demos before, seen some detail around the business process framework and the different workflows that we set up. What we've also introduced now is the ability to have ad hoc changes to in-process workflow. So I just go to here to look at the expense report and open this up into the review. Those who've seen Workday before will be familiar with the approve, the deny, the opportunity to send back to specific individuals in the process. But now we've also got the ability to add additional approvers into any particular process. So it's simply a case of coming in and looking up the appropriate approver by their appropriate security group, and we can put extra comments in and send this on to those additional people that we want to get involved with a specific workflow. But the key thing is it doesn't update or doesn't change the template, so that stays there. So it's very much an ad hoc and additional bit of flexibility within the business process framework. The other thing that we can also do with Workday 18 is have increased flexibility around the reports and the dashboards. So we can see here that we've got a number of different reporting dashboards that have been set up and made available to this particular user. And if we just go to one that's perhaps not too imaginatively named at the moment, called Custom Dashboard, just to prove the point, but obviously we can relabel these if we wanted to. Just discard my changes around that. You can say that I've got into a dashboard here I've just started setting up. I've already populated it with one particular a predictive analytic. So this one's just giving me the cost if I were moving individuals within an organisation from who are below a midpoint pay range to a midpoint pay range. If I want to come in and, of course, add new reports to this, very easy to come in and configure this. So if I was going to put in perhaps one of those predictive reports that Laura mentioned earlier, predictive trending reports that Laura mentioned earlier. So quarterly average base pay by country, click OK, and refresh that. So it works the same way as any other dashboards that we set up in the past. And just while we're on this sort of topic here, I'll just click into view more. Just give you a sneak preview of some of the trending reports that are being produced. So they're being produced across a number of different areas. This one here is focusing on, as we can see, compensation-based pay. And what I think is an interesting feature is that we're also starting to combine not just the trending and looking back over, in this case, over quarters over time, but also the faceted search capability here. So if we just want to focus in on India, for example, I can use the faceted search on the left-hand side just to concentrate on there, can start to look in. And of course, like any analytic, if we're curious about something, we can either click on the actual amount or into the option against any particular chart area. For example, here, just click on the view details, and I can start to drill down and see further information here. Things like compa ratio, setup, annual base pay. Again, I can drill down further into any of these options here. And of course, those of you familiar with Workday, there's the ability to come in and take action. So clicking on the related actions here, if I want to come and look, for example, a detailed compensation history for an individual, very easy to do that off any of the new trending analytics that have been set up. So these, as Laura said, are being worked on at present with this update with a specific number of partners from the customer community, but will become more widely available over the next few updates in 2013. So, quick snapshot about things regarding increasing flexibility. In terms of increasing workforce engagement, those of you with eagle eyes, when I clicked into a particular worker's record, so if I just click into Logan's name here, may have spotted some changes here within the user interface. So what we've done with Workday 18 is actually flattened out this navigation here that used to be, in a way, a little mini wheel that we had running around here, which gives us a lot more space below. So we've got a lot more ground that we can start to put things in. For example, things like the professional profile that we can see here. So it's worth also pointing out that if I just work my way along any of these, we can see the top level of navigation. I'm in overview at the moment. Then that's broken down to professional profile, timeline, employee history. And if I were, for example, go into performance, I can start to see key information, performance, and career here. So, whereas Workday 17 used to have a differentiator between the worker record and then a separate sort of, but still holistically joined talent profile, now we've got these all set up in one easy-to-use navigational area. So if I go back to overview, back to professional profile, we can see that we've got the ability to capture experience, and this is not necessarily experience just in the organisation. It can be experience from outside of their previous employment. Education, we can see here. Key skills, these can match a skills library and also be ad hoc skills. Projects that have been worked on. We can see there's other areas of interaction here. So the feedback, we can see feedback's given, but if I wanted to give feedback about an individual, we'll see in a second we can do that. And there's also, very critically, we think, the option here to import details from a LinkedIn profile. And this is actually one of the 12 new business processes that have been introduced with Workday 18. So there's actually a business process here. So if you wanted to, as a customer, you can not only enable this, but also you could potentially have an approval before somebody is actually allowed to complete that import. Now, I'm not going to just go and import it here just to save a bit of time. We'll go and look at somebody that I imported their LinkedIn profile, or rather my LinkedIn profile, just earlier. So if we go and look at Daljeet here, we can see that she's got a fairly comprehensive LinkedIn profile. Hopefully you can all see that come up now. Sometimes there's a little bit of a delay with the WebEx, so I'll talk deliberately slowly, and hopefully that will render for you. But we can see that this was data actually that was imported from a LinkedIn profile, so from outside of the organisation. And if we want to see more, we can see that there's the ability to capture a whole load of detail down here. So all this went through a very simple process to import data from LinkedIn, a whole load of skills, not just, as I said, skills that are held within a library, but also ad hoc skills. You can see at the moment there's no projects, but of course I can come and add anything if I wanted to. We can see things in common, so I'm looking at this from Logan's perspective, but I've got something in common in terms of recruitment, talent acquisition experience that Daljeet and both Logan have got here. There's some feedback, and if I want to leave feedback, I don't have to now wait to receive a request for feedback. I can go and find anybody's public profile, and I can leave feedback about them if I wanted to. So very much taking some of the best practices that we see in these sort of professional profiles that are out there, obviously LinkedIn being the key one we're looking at. In terms of other things we can do around workforce engagements, if we just go to open up the iPad, here we're looking at an iPad simulator. And we've done a lot with the iPad, but also importantly, as Laura pointed out, not just iOS apps, but also on HTML5, looking to get parity between any device, so whether that's Android, BlackBerry, etc., using HTML5 and parity with the iOS apps. We're going to look in here, and for those of you who've seen the Workday iPad app, we'll see that it did change quite a bit in terms of look and feel in Workday 17. What we have new now are a few things. We have the My Team, which we'll look at in just a moment. But if we scroll along, we also come to an area of dashboards. So what we've done, because we've got now, you remember looking in that browser, we saw that we had a whole load more dashboard options. So there were, for example, projects put in here, spend. Sort of scroll down, payroll, custom dashboard that we saw earlier. We've got the ability to put all those in and then particularly focus in on the dashboard we're interested just by clicking through to here. And as Laura said, what we've done to do is, what we've managed to do with Workday 18 is put a bit more focus in how these reports render within a mobile setup. We can see, obviously, I'm looking at this iPad in this case here deliberately from a portrait view rather than a landscape view, and we can see things like the bar charts have been turned on the side just to make it easier for me to see that. And of course, we can dive in and analyse any of that detail that we want to. But perhaps the main area where we started to make some really interesting advancements within the mobile application is the My Team area. So I'm just going to click into this. So this is very much targeted for managers now to start to get on the move a lot more information about their team, but also I think critically it's the starting point for, if I just come to here, open this out, I can start to do things like bookmark, which you may be familiar with, go to dive into this person's personal profile and see a lot more information, which we sort of introduced over the last few updates within Workday. But also there is this ability to start taking action. Now, at the moment, this is giving feedback and taking notes, but it is a very significant area that I think we'll see continued investment and improvement over the next few updates, of allowing people to start to do more in terms of taking action on the go from mobile devices. So my team here gives me a view of obviously the people within my team, but also importantly I can start to drill down and see who is being managed, say, by Robert. There's 8 people here, 2 people by Maria. So I can drill down into here. But I've also got a number of different options that I can start to navigate through to look at my team. So I have my team view, but if I go to calendar, I'm now going to see that I've got a monthly view that's starting to pull together all sorts of data in terms of time off, absence, even things like birthdays here. And another area that we'll continue to work on. So a team calendar with a lot of improvements coming in there. I can start to see some key stats about my team. So just an example of a very sort of useful detailed report giving me all sorts of information in here. But if I start to click into compensation, I'll start to now see that sort of dashboard reports that we were used to seeing around compensation, around talent performance. And again, these are optimized for mobile devices. So I can see that, for example, the bar charts are running from in a horizontal rather than vertical plane. Same sort of thing here within talent performance. And the last thing I just point out also with Workday 18, we've also got now the ability to do things like put the 9-box reports into a mobile device as well. And we'll get a bit more view in just a moment around some of the increasing flexibility that we've got when we're looking at 9-box grids and maximising people's performance. So with that, I'll just navigate away from that. And I'm just going to go to my work feed here as my HR person logo. And I've got a particular item in here, a calibration team process that's going. So two of the new business processes that have been introduced with Workday 18 are around calibration. So what we have the ability now to do is to perform calibration processes either within a single org or across multiple orgs. So if I just click into review, we'll get a bit more view of what this actually gives us. So I will go slowly because I know there is a bit of a delay with WebEx, and just make sure that this sort of renders for you. But what we've got here is a particular process that's going through. So we have the talent winter 2013. If I want to see what that looks like, I can start to drill down and see how this has been set up and configured. So it's a very useful feature. We can see how this 9-box has been set up in terms of we have the performance running across one axis, and then we had potential running across the other axis. Another little new feature just worth pointing out while I'm here that came with Workday 18 is that where we've got a lot of data and we want to fit everything on one page, and potentially there's more options, we always had the ability to see more. Now we can actually see how many more options those are. So we just click on that and it'll open it out into one little window there, so we can see all of it in one go quite easily. And if I click away from it, we can come and see further detail there. So we can get a quick view of how this has been set up. We've got our faceted search, so if we wanted to really focus in on one particular org within this sort of cross-org process that we've got going here, so just human resources, I could click into that and just see the human resources people. But what we have is a 9-box grid that we've seen. We've got performance along one axis, we've got potential another axis here, and we have, in effect, a calibration process going. So what we've done with our performance rating is we now have a provisional performance rating that allows us to then use it as a basis for the calibration process, which will give us an end performance rating. So we set this up, and within the setup, there was another area that I could have shown you, but essentially we can also put targets. So how many people are we expecting to say to be in the top right-hand corner? How many are we expecting to be the bottom left-hand corner, and so on. So, we're looking at a maximum of 4 individuals based on this user population that we're looking at here, so that's 15%. What I can start to do is also start to drag and drop individuals. So these are people here on the left-hand side that now need to come into this process. Now, where they're in grey, and hopefully you can just about see that, there's a bit of instructional text to tell us why we can't move these people in grey, so I can't do anything with them. It's because they're still going through a process. But of course I've got my related actions, so I can drill down and see further information about an individual if I wanted to. Where they're not in grey means I can now start to enter them into the process, i.e. their performance review has been completed, that provisional performance review I talked about. So I can click on somebody and drag them in. So if I wanted to bring Jay in here and drop it into the top right-hand corner, into the stars, you can see that straight away, or hopefully you can see that with WebEx, that we've now got up to 2 out of our 4 people that she's dropped into there, and I can look at that. But if I wanted to move individuals around, say perhaps Jacqueline, I want to move her up in here into contributors, I can put her into here. So it's very easy to do that. Where we have perhaps big user populations, not only can we use the faceted search here to narrow that down, but if, for example, I had quite a lot of people within this one box here, I can also click on the option to maximize this. So if perhaps we were looking at 30, 40 people even, or perhaps even more, all in one particular box here. I can then drill down, start to see these individuals here. Of course, I can click into them and see their related actions. But if I then want to drag them into somewhere else, if you note, we still have the option for the boxes around here. So if I want to move Jacqueline up and drop her into being a star, if my mouse will allow me, in fact, I'm just going to drop her down to the latents there. You can see latents have updated here. If I click onto that, I can go into there. There's also an option to, I'll just move us back to the 9-box grid. There's also an option to see a report. So if we want to see just a bit more information, I can click on the option here, and I can see a report view that starts to give me all sorts of information in terms of things like time and position, view of performance, with a little star rating that we've configured it here, whether individuals on the succession plan, that sort of thing. And I can easily navigate back to my 9-box view. And the last thing I'll point out is that, of course, we're going through a process. So the tab up here talking about actions gives me a snapshot view of where the calibration status is, how we're going through this process. So I just click into this. We can see that other managers are also involved with this, not just Logan, who I'm logged in as, but we can see Betty, Pedro, a number of individuals are going through and making assessments. So Jacqueline is also assessing 3 other employees within this process. We can see them listed here. And because the individual I've logged in has got a lot of security access, she's also got the ability to complete something on behalf of somebody else, so that's an option there. If I want to go back to where it was before, it's very easy to click on Return to the Calibration event. So that's giving you a bit of a snapshot view of perhaps in a key area where we're really working on this theme of maximising people's performance. And so the last thing I'm going to just sort of touch on is the area that we've worked that sort of ties into financials. It isn't necessarily purely financials, and those of you aware of the sort of setup within Workday know that actually projects is core to HCM. So certain areas of projects, which we'll see, are absolutely core, but then we can also start to touch into things like time, spend, and of course get into financials. So I'm just going to navigate to a different browser and view Workday from a slightly different perspective, from a different user. This particular person is called Teresa Serrano. And I'm just going to go to Favourites to bring out a particular report that sort of illustrates the capability within the project scenarios. So this particular report here, project scenario comparisons, allows me to, as the word would suggest, look at a number of scenarios and compare those. So I'm just going to quickly go and run this report, and we can see that we've got a scenario. So we'll be able to have project scenarios, and we can put project scenarios into particular groups. So we're looking at sort of new product ideas here for 2013. And that actually is created, well, associated with that, I've created 3 different project scenarios. So we can see a description of what those are. So scenario idea 1, idea 2, idea 3. So we've got a nice comparison here in terms of key information, description of what those are about. What's the revenue forecast associated with these? So we're able to start to put some hard numbers in here, but also we can start to do some calculations around what that's actually going to cost in terms of time cost, spend cost, things like expenses, what we're actually budgeting towards that. In this case here, we're also doing a bit of calculation, what's the difference between the revenue and the actual costs here. So we can drill down and see that sort of information here, and if I want to see what a project idea looks like, obviously I can just go to my object on here. If I click into that, you just get a bit more visibility of how that's set up. So we can start to put some real detail around these scenarios in terms of the phases, the tasks within the phases, dates in terms of start and end dates, and starting to estimate and also calculate the amount of time and effort that's involved, and look at the type of workers, and then potentially suggesting the specific worker if we wanted to, or if there isn't a particular worker, we can even notify or make a note that perhaps we need to hire somebody, and we can start to see things like calculated effort that come into here, or a total time cost. Okay, and if I just drill down in here, it's going to give me a quick view of what all the specific job profiles in terms of time and cost and effort those are likely to be. So just a bit of a snapshot view, and it's an area that we continue to work on to build out how these project scenarios can be used, be set up by project managers, created by them, and from a program manager point of view, we've actually seen here there's a report that we've we looked at. We were able to look across a number and then drill down and see the detail there. So that's the sort of view we're looking at from there. I think that will probably, just looking at the time there, probably concludes everything that I was hoping to show you in this particular session here. Of course, as Laura said, there are, I think it's actually something like 135 items that have come out with Workday 18. Obviously, a lot to cover there. So if there are any particular questions, we can start to have to receive those. You're welcome to stay on and note those through to us, and we will get back to you in time with some more detail and some answers around that. But I hope that's been useful to you all, and I will just pass back to Laura if I.
Thank you, David, and thank you, everyone, so much for attending our Workday 18 webinar today. Now, as David was saying, some of you have submitted questions. Some of you may still wish to submit questions. You're very welcome to do that. We opted not to respond live today because we wanted to make sure we had time to show you all the features we wanted to show you. However, rest assured, we will be following up with you with responses to your questions very soon. So I want to thank you all again for joining and wish you a great Workday.